Thank you very much, House Chair. So the chief whip of the majority party stands up here and says that it is only a bewitched political party that can vote against its president. And then he then makes a proclamation that the ruling party, the ANC, is not bewitched. I think that the ANC is bewitched because it's only a bewitched political party that outsources its executive functions to a Gupta family, a corrupt family that runs the show here in South Africa. It is beyond any reasonable doubt that all power has been outsourced to a family. They're in charge of parastatals, they're in charge of appointment of key ministries. It is a bewitched political party that trains an individual for 7 days and 7 nights on corruption, takes that person on induction on how to corrupt and steal resources of the state, and appoints that person as a minister for just 1 weekend. That is witchcraft.
Can you take your seat? There's a point of order. No. What's the point of order?
I want to bring to your attention rules state that we're debating parliament budget vote. Honorable Shivambu is addressing the political party of the chief whip rather than focusing on the budget vote.
Honorable member, thank you very much, but order. Budget debates by their very nature are political statements, so allow the member to proceed.
So the chief whip of the ANC speaks about witchcraft. Witchcraft is when your officials, the top 6, contradict each other publicly. A president says this, a deputy president says this, a secretary general says this, a treasurer general says that. That is a bewitched political party. A bewitched political party is a political party that has got as a standing item on its agenda a motion of no confidence against its own president. That is a bewitched political party. It's a political party that takes decisions that Brian Molefe must be removed as a ESCOM CEO, but he comes here in Parliament to present the strategic framework and explanations of ESCOM, just afresh from your highest decision-making body. Now, that is witchcraft. So you must not tell us about witchcraft of organizations because you come from one, but we are here to officially reject the proposed budget of Parliament as presented by the Speaker of the National Assembly for primarily 3 reasons. One is that we do not think that Parliament in a current design has got the necessary legislative capacity as is mandated by the Constitution. But 2, it doesn't have the necessary intrinsic oversight mechanisms and systems that are required by the Constitution as well. But 3, we do not trust the politicians and the officials and the processes that are in place to hold Parliament accountable in terms of how the finances of Parliament are managed. And before we go deeper into that, as the EFF, we stand to condemn all forms of gender violence, of gender-based violence that are ongoing in South Africa. As we said before, such kind of violence, of gender-based violence against women, is un-African, it's inhuman, and it's a sign of cowardice. And we call on all our communities to reject all forms of gender-based violence. Now, coming back to the reasons why we reject the budget of Parliament, we are saying that Parliament doesn't have adequate legislative capacity because the Constitution, sections 42, 43, and 44 of the Constitution gives the legislative mandate to the National Assembly. But what happens in the current setup is that the executive is the one that drafts legislation. And then Parliament is given to comment on legislations. Of course, we've got the power to could change there and there. But in terms of initiating legislation from the beginning, although there are some permissible laws that can give you to pass private members' bills and so on and so forth, but Parliament doesn't have intrinsic capacity, even in terms of staffing that can draft legislation and guide it until conclusion. So there should be a legislative office here in Parliament that is well capacitated, of well-paid individuals. When we say that we want to propose a law on illicit flows, we must be able to go into that office and say, let us draft this legislation. These are the politics and these are the technicalities that you must then deal with. But two, the oversight capacity of Parliament must go to the extent of being forensic. We must not just superficially assess departments and expenses of so many public institutions. The state has got possibly more than 70, if not more than 100, state-owned companies in all departments and the public of public enterprises and all government departments which we must intricately oversee in terms of the movement of finances, what happens. But Parliament doesn't have that capacity. We just give superficial assessment that no, this budget is not proper, only to discover from the media later on that money has been utilized for wrong purposes, money has been siphoned off to enrich a family, money has been misused there and there, more than 40 billion of money that is supposed to impact on people's lives is being misused there, as is said by the Auditor General. And these are the things that Parliament should have detected far much earlier. So we are calling for an establishment of proper forensic capacity of Parliament to deal with the oversight of all the institutions that account to this particular institution. But three, we are the only ones as the EFF who rejected the appointment of Mgidlana as the Secretary of Parliament. Because we could see from far that this guy is corrupt. We can tell you today that we said here that Mgidlana is not a proper candidate to become the Secretary of Parliament. He is law unto himself. He does things as he pleases. And why is because the institutions, the non-partisan institutions that are supposed to oversee the monies of Parliament are not properly sitting on a constant basis. The Parliamentary Oversight Authority and other institutions, even the manner in which it is designed is problematic because it says that if we disagree in the POA, the Speaker can have a decision, a final decision on everything else that we disagree upon there. So the Speaker is law unto herself in terms of the oversight and the proper financial management system. That is why Mgidlana, who is protected by the Speaker, behaves in the manner in which he's doing. He disrespects workers, he goes to international trips that are not properly approved, he gives himself bursaries and all sorts of things. So part of the solutions in terms of what is needed here is that Mgidlana, or whatever he is, must step down. He must resign. He is currently undergoing the investigation by the public protector. Why is Parliament not charging him for the same allegations that the public protector is investigating? Subject him to a disciplinary process and take him out of office because he's not going to help this Parliament. It's not good that every day we come to Parliament, workers of Parliament are striking against one individual. Every day. We're held at ransom by one individual. But the principles upon which we are rejecting this budget is because we do not think that the legislative and oversight strength of Parliament is adequate, and the politicians, the officials, and the processes that are put in place to oversee the functions of Parliament are adequate. We therefore stand to reject the budget as proposed. Thank you very much.